Joash, the boy king.
Part 1. The Baby in Hiding. Long ago in the kingdom of Judah, there lived a very wicked queen, named Athaliah. She wanted to be the only ruler of God's people. So she made a terrible plan to get rid of the king's whole family. She thought this would keep anyone from taking her throne away. But God saw what was happening, and he had his own special plan. There was one tiny baby boy named Joash, who belonged to the king's family. Just when things looked hopeless, his brave aunt Jehosheba secretly scooped him up and ran as fast as she could to God's temple. Her husband Jehoiada was the head priest at the temple. Jehosheba whispered to the priests,
"Please keep this baby safe. He's very special to God."
Jehoiada loved God and knew he had to protect little Joash. He made a cozy hiding place for him, right inside God's house. For 6 long years, Uncle Jehoiada fed Joash, played with him, and taught him about God. Joash grew into a happy little boy, and the wicked queen never knew that the true king was living right under her nose. Part 2. The Big Surprise. When Joash was 7 years old, he was still living secretly in the temple, but Jehoiada knew something important. It was time for everyone to meet their real king. Jehoiada was very careful about his plan. He quietly called together the strongest guards, the wisest leaders, and many of God's people from all over Judah. When they were all gathered, he said with a big smile,
"It's time for Joash to be king."
The guards stood in a circle around the temple to keep everyone safe while Joash was brought out. Then, Jehoiada gently placed a shiny golden crown on the boy's head and gave him a special scroll that contained God's law for being a good king. When the people saw their new king, they were so happy they could hardly believe it. They clapped their hands, danced, and shouted, "Hooray for King Joash! Long live the king!" It was a big surprise to everyone, including the mean Queen Athaliah, who had heard all of the celebrating. Part 3. Goodbye, Wicked Queen. Queen Athaliah heard all the cheering and music coming from the temple. She rushed over to see what was going on. And when she saw little Joash wearing the crown with all the people celebrating, she became furious.
"Treason! Treason!"
She screamed.
"Someone is trying to steal my throne!"
But the brave guards had been waiting for this moment. They took the wicked queen away so she couldn't hurt anyone anymore. The people were so relieved they were finally done with her mean rule. Then Jehoiada stood up tall and said to everyone,
"Let's make a promise together. We will follow the Lord our God."
All the people cheered and said, "Yes, we promise." The people were so happy to follow God again that they worked together to clean up their land. They tore down the ugly statues of fake gods and made God's temples sparkle like new. Now Joash was the king, and everyone celebrated with the biggest party they'd ever had. Part 4. The King Who Fixed God's House. As King Joash grew up, he loved God very much. The wise priest Jehoiada taught him how to be a good king and how to make choices that made God happy. One day, Joash was walking through God's temple when he noticed something sad. The walls had cracks, the doors were broken, and everything looked old and worn out.
"This makes me sad,"
Joash said to Jehoiada.
"God's house should be the most beautiful place in our whole kingdom. Let's fix God's house."
Jehoiada thought this was a wonderful idea. They told all the people, "If you want to help make God's house beautiful again, you can bring money and offerings to help." The people loved this idea. They brought coins, wood, tools, and anything else that could help. Soon there were workers building, carpenters hammering, and painters polishing. Everyone worked together with happy hearts. Day after day, the temple got more and more beautiful. The walls became strong, the doors sparkled, and everything looked brand new. When they were finished, it was the most magnificent building anyone had ever seen. Just as it should be. As long as wise Jehoiada was alive to give him good advice, King Joash continued to do what was right and make choices that pleased God. Part 5. The Sad Ending. After many years, Jehoiada the priest became very old and died. He had spent his whole life helping King Joash make good choices and follow God. But now Joash had to make decisions all by himself. This is when something very sad happened. Without Jehoiada's wise advice, Joash began listening to other people who didn't love God. These people gave him bad ideas. And slowly Joash forgot all the good things he had learned. He stopped caring about God's temple. He stopped following God's rules. He even became mean to God's prophets, the special people who reminded him about God's love. When Zechariah, who was Jehoiada's own son, tried to remind Joash to follow God and told him the truth, the king became angry and hurt him. This made God very sad because Joash had forgotten how much God loved him. In the end, Joash did not follow God anymore, and trouble came to Judah again. The people were no longer safe and happy like they used to be.
Hi, boys and girls. The story of Joash teaches us many important things. God loves each one of us. Just like he loved baby Joash, he has special plans for our lives, and he will always take care of us when we trust him. We must also remember to keep following God our whole lives. Even when the people who help us are gone, God loves us and wants us to be safe and happy.